What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to our Bible study. Alrighty, so we have got Numbers chapter 20 lined up for right now, and so we had previous couple of chapters basically gave more commandments related to the tabernacle and purification rituals and things like that, and I mean, you might think at this point these are kind of like overkill or unnecessary, but clearly the people were not ready to enter the promised land before, so God's now giving them more things more commands to live by to help make sure that the next attempt to enter the promised land is not met with so much resistance, and that the people are actually more in line with God's will before they would try and enter. So anyway, I guess that's where we join things here in Numbers chapter 20. So here we go. In the first month of the year, the whole community of Israel arrived in the wilderness of Zin and camped at Kadesh. While they were there, Miriam died and was buried. There was no water for the people to drink at that place, so they rebelled against Moses and Aaron. The people blamed Moses and said, "If only we had died in the Lord's presence with our brothers. Why have you brought the congregation of the Lord's people into the wilderness to die, along with all our livestock? Why did you make us leave Egypt and bring us here to this terrible place? This land has no grain, no figs, no grapes, no pomegranates, and no water to drink." More complaining. You would have thought we were done with that by now. There was the complaints about the food. Then the complaints from, Aaron and Miriam about Moses' leadership. Then there were the complaints about the promised land and the fact that the people were too strong for them to go in there and take it. But then when they changed their minds about that, they complained that, the attempt to enter was unsuccessful and that they were basically pushed back out to the wilderness. And now you got, rebellions even further than just complaints against Moses' leadership. And now there's this, good grief. Bunch of complainers these people are. But it seems like each time that the complaints have come up, it's been the most recent thing that they bring up first. If only we had died in the Lord's presence with our brothers. Hearkening back to back to Korah's rebellion, where, those people who were rebelling either got swallowed up by the earth or died by fire. You really think your current situation is worse than that, people? I guess because they think this is going to be a slow and painful death rather than a quicker one. I don't know. Anyway, footnote there. First month of the ancient Hebrew lunar calendar usually occurs within the months of March and April. The number of years since leaving Egypt is not specified. But, one would assume it had to be at least 2 years after, because the first year after they left was when they then had the whole issue with the second Passover. Shortly after that, they left Mount Sinai to go to the Promised Land, and then were turned away from the Promised Land. So you figure it's got to be at least 2 years after they left Egypt, but it could have been even more than that. Which would mean there's actually quite a bit of time that has passed if it's a later year than that. Anyway, More complaints about lack of food and water. Then we get to verse 6. Moses and Aaron turned away from the people and went to the entrance of the tabernacle, where they fell face down on the ground. Then the glorious presence of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord said to Moses, "You and Aaron must take the staff and assemble the entire community. As the people watch, speak to the rock over there, and it will pour out its water. You will provide enough water from the rock to satisfy the whole community and their livestock." Okay. So God's basically saying, all right, people want water, do this and I'll give them water. Footnote there just says tent of meeting. Verse 9. So Moses did as he was told. He took the staff from the place where it was kept before the Lord. Then he and Aaron summoned the people to come and gather at the rock. "Listen, you rebels," he shouted. "Must we bring you water from this rock?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with the staff, and water gushed out. So the entire community and their livestock drank their fill. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel, you will not lead them into the land I am giving them." This place was known as the waters of Meribah, which means arguing, because there the people of Israel argued with the Lord, and there he demonstrated his holiness among them. So, here's the thing. God told Moses just to speak to the rock, and then it would bring out water. Moses, instead, struck the rock twice with the staff. So because in that way he went against God's command, Moses and Aaron then lost their privilege of going to the promised land, which they otherwise were going to have. So we're literally down to just Caleb, Joshua, and any of the Israelites who were under 20 whenever the scouting of the promised land happened before. And I guess, their children as well. The good news is the entire community and their livestock drank their fill. So at least there was water to get them by. Okay. Now we get to verse 14. While Moses was at Kadesh, he sent ambassadors to the king of Edom with this message. "This is what your relatives, the people of Israel, say. You know all the hardships we have been through. Our ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived there a long time. And we and our ancestors were brutally mistreated by the Egyptians. But when we cried out to the Lord, he heard us and sent an angel who brought us out of Egypt. Now we are camped at Kadesh, a town on the border of your land. Please let us travel through your land. We will be careful not to go through your fields and vineyards. We won't even drink water from your wells. We will stay on the king's road and never leave it until we have passed through your territory." Okay, so it says they're relatives? King of Edom. Maybe it's just because it's been a while since the connection was really mentioned there. It's certainly possible that, the Edomites might have descended from a branch of Abraham, which would make some sense. But anyway, these people are supposed to be at least somewhat familiar with the Israelites and have some sort of connection there. So Moses is kind of like, "Hey, buddy, fam, we're kind of at the border of your land. Can we pass through? We're not going to take anything. Just let us pass through, please. Then we get to verse 18. But the king of Edom said, "Stay out of my land, or I will meet you with an army." The Israelites answered, "We will stay on the main road. If our livestock drink your water, we will pay for it. Just let us pass through your country. That's all we ask." But the king of Edom replied, "Stay out. You may not pass through our land." With that, he mobilized his army and marched out against them with an imposing force. But Edom refused to allow Israel to pass through their country. Israel was forced to turn around. Sorry, that was because, not but. Whatever. So, it's not made entirely clear where they were going at this point, because this was part of just the wandering around the wilderness. You wouldn't think they were headed back around to the Promised Land again. Although it could have been like working around to a different angle on the Promised Land, maybe. But rather than taking the possibly more direct route of going through this town, kingdom, land, whatever, of the Edomites, since the king refused to let them through, they had to go around. Or at least turn around from there. Oh yeah, I just realized I brushed over the whole Miriam's death thing. Granted, it's not like the verse took too long to cover it. So she died and was buried while at Kadesh. I just was reminded of that because of this little subheading here. So then we get to verse 22. The whole community of Israel left Kadesh and arrived at Mount Hor. There on the border of the land of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "The time has come for Aaron to join his ancestors in death. He will not enter the land I am giving the people of Israel, because the two of you rebelled against my instructions concerning the water at Meribah. Now take Aaron and his son Eleazar up Mount Hor. There you will remove Aaron's priestly garments and put them on Eleazar his son. Aaron will die there and join his ancestors." So, Aaron, being high priest, had the special outfit, and, there had to be a way of passing that along. So rather than have Aaron just, keel over and die and leave that up to any kind of question, God's like, all right, Aaron and Eleazar are going to go up to the mountain, and Eleazar is going to get his priestly garments. Eleazar is going to be high priest now. Verse 27. So Moses did as the Lord commanded. The three of them went up Mount Hor together as the whole community watched. At the summit, Moses removed the priestly garments from Aaron and put them on Eleazar, Aaron's son. Then Aaron died there on top of the mountain, and Moses and Eleazar went back down. When the people realized that Aaron had died, all Israel mourned him for 30 days. So, it's not really clear how far this mountain is from Kadesh. I would assume not terribly far. But anyway, Aaron didn't exactly die in the same place that Miriam did, for sure. So, Aaron died there. It doesn't actually mention a burial for Aaron. It did mention one for Miriam, though. I guess maybe just because of where he died and the circumstances thereof. Or maybe he was buried and that just kind of got glossed over. if it was a big deal, it would mention something about it. But, okay, so official new high priest has been, I don't want to say crowned or anointed or anything like that. Just chosen, dedicated, I guess, might be a more accurate way of saying it. So, I think, looking on the deaths of Aaron and Miriam are kind of further solidifying the fact that, the Israelites are starting to age out, and people that were part of the rebellious group that refused to enter the promised land, they're dying out, and hopefully making way for, a younger group that would be a bit more dedicated to, following God's will. Anyway, okay. So that is going to do it for Numbers chapter 20. Alright, so it's not clear exactly how much time has passed, but clearly some time is passing. We've already had the deaths just in this chapter of Miriam and then Aaron. So, old generation is dying out to make way for the new generation that will eventually get into the promised land. Or at least that's the hope. Anyway, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get updates when I post new videos. Look down in the description to get info on other social media pages and all that good stuff. And leave comments down below there with any thoughts you have. So that's it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next video. But until then, stay cool, people.